No one tells them this, right? No one at these certification programs are telling them this. It's all just like, oh, get a certification, your life is gonna change. For the record, I have nothing against certifications. I think certifications are fantastic. This prevailing myth, and I call it a myth because that's exactly what it is, it's a myth, it's not true, that you have to be talking about money or business in order to make it in the coaching industry. Hey, CourtneySanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time online life and business coach as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things, but I do it because I'm passionate about helping you turn your success story into a 6 or 7-figure online coaching brand. Now let's talk about coaching, specifically life coaching, and why most life coaches don't make money. This is really unfortunate, and most life coaches will chalk it up to their niche. There's this prevailing myth, and I call it a myth because that's exactly what it is. It's a myth, it's not true, that you have to be talking about money or business in order to make it in the coaching industry. Not true. There are plenty of life coaches that, do very well, very successful 7-figure businesses. There's plenty of health coaches who have 7-figure, even 8-figure businesses, relationship coaches, etc. There's all types of coaches in niches that have nothing to do with business and money that are very, very successful. But I find that life coaching is often unique and that a lot of people don't understand the industry. They don't understand how to get into life coaching, and they just come in with so many misconceptions that keeps them from ultimately finding success, landing clients, and making the type of money as a life coach that they ultimately want to make. So if you're in for a little bit of tough love, if you're okay with that, if you want to know the truth, then stay tuned for this video where we're going to talk about why is it that life coaches don't always make money. All right, the first thing that you have to understand when it comes to life coaching is that there's really 2 tracks. And I'm saying this to people who are like brand new. Maybe you're looking at a certification and you're like, I just want to get out of my corporate job. I think life coaching is great. I give great advice. This is something that I want to get into. Okay, there's 2 tracks. There is the corporate track and there is the consumer track. So the corporate track even has kind of like 2 lanes that you can get in. When you get a coaching certification, oftentimes that really positions you well where you can now come into a corporation as an employee and you can be an on-staff kind of internal life coach essentially. Now, how that structure actually works varies. Maybe you're technically a contractor or maybe they do actually hire you as an employee, but there is a track where essentially you are coming into a specific business and you are like the life coach in residence. You are the person that is going to be supporting maybe the employees or helping them work out their goals, their aspirations, helping them align perhaps their careers with their personal aspirations, helping them find and achieve work-life balance. Hint, hint, you still need a niche even if you're inside of life coaching, and that's another thing that we'll talk about in just a second. But there is a track for life coaches who want to work in a corporate capacity. Typically, this is the capacity that you're seeing when we talk about certifications, right? So typically, if you're gonna work for, like a Fortune 500 company, either as an actual employee or some sort of like contractor that's coming alongside of them, they will want you to have a certification or some sort of designation that a particular coaching methodology. So that's the first corporate track. It's more kind of like the employee model. Then inside of the corporate track, there's also a more entrepreneurial model where you are coming in as your own business. You are providing training, you're providing coaching. Maybe you're doing lunch and learns. Maybe you are submitting a request for a proposal. You're answering a request for proposals from a company, and you don't work there as you would in the first track where you're kind of like the intercompany life coach. In this sense, you are definitely an external provider and an external vendor, but there might be a particular project that they're looking to bring you on for. And it could be really long, right? I have family members who are in leadership development and leadership coaching. And so often they come into the corporate model, and while they're not like staff employees that are working with these corporations, there are all of these bids and these proposals that these corporations are sending out, oftentimes to the tune of $600,000 or $1 million or whatever, and they might look for a coaching team or a coaching company to come in and provide some sort of life coaching, maybe career coaching, leadership development for their staff. And so you think like, whoa, those are crazy numbers. Like, why would a corporation ever pay that much? But again, if they have a very large staff, if they have a huge sales department, that they're essentially hiring you to come in and to teach leadership development, or a whole management department that they're hiring you to come in and to do this with, and maybe this is over the course of some weeks or some months. Maybe this is a annual retainer. Maybe this is a 6-month project. Again, these can be multi-5-figure to multi-6-figure contracts that you're looking at. And once you get up in numbers, typically they're looking for companies where there's more than one life coach. But even as a solo life coach, you can get into this track. So again, this is where certifications matter. You probably will want to have a certification or some designation, even if it's like a learning design designation or some sort of like training and development. You'll want to have something here because in corporate, they're looking for those markers of like, okay, there's a particular methodology that you were trained in, and then we're looking for you to apply that methodology to our staff, to our managers, to our salespeople, or whoever they're hiring you for, right? So I just put that out there first because this is typically what people think of when they go to get their certification. However, after they get their certification, instead of actually going that corporate track, which might have been what they initially thought, or maybe they didn't know that that was even a track, but they got the certification anyway. What I find is people get their certification, but then they pivot and they want to go down the consumer track. And by consumer track, I mean they're looking to sell their life coaching one-on-one direct to consumer, right? They're looking for an individual. Maybe it's a professional, maybe it's a working mom who's super busy and wants help with work-life balance. Maybe it's anybody, right? It's someone who is looking to achieve more in their personal life, and they're looking for a life coach to help support them with that. And so now we get into, oh, well, I have my life coaching certification. Great. I want to start getting clients. I want to build a business. Like, I'm off to the races. What do I do? I often find that people who have their certification and want to now go down this consumer track are often very disappointed because they think that the certification is enough, right? And the certification is not enough. For the record, I have nothing against certifications. I think certifications are fantastic. I am actually having my own program certified. I spoke about this in a previous video about my goals for 2023, but I am actually looking to have my program certified according to ICF, the International Coaching Federation. And as a result of that, I will be an ICF certified coach as well. So there's nothing wrong with that. All I've ever said since the beginning, right, of me talking about coaching on my channel is simply that, one, you don't need a certification in order to build a 6 or even 7-figure coaching business, and 2, a certification is not enough. And so I find that many people, they don't understand this, or they don't want to accept this because, again, maybe they're coming from that corporate world where like credentials are everything, and it's like someone kind of knights you and designates you and says like, you have this designation, you are now allowed to pursue a business. And then they get into the consumer world of actually people get to choose, who do I want to be my life coach? And they don't understand that why that certification is not enough to get them noticed and to get them attention. And so a big mistake that they make from the consumer side that isn't quite as necessary in the corporate side is, again, not having a brand, not having a personal story, not having a personal unique framework. All of these things that I talk about in my business, that is very important for you to build a brand as a standout solo life coach who wants to actually work with consumers. So I just wanted to kind of share these two lanes so that you can think in your mind, regardless of where you are in your coaching journey, really what lane do you want to go down? Do you want to get your certification and then start working with corporations? That's fantastic. There's a whole thing, a whole process that you'll need to do, right? You will need to brand yourself, but not necessarily in the way that I'm talking about, right? But there's a specific things that corporations look for, specific things that you'll want to include. They might want a capability statement. Like, there's a whole world for how you go after corporate and government and kind of B2B contracts in that regard, right? And the certification is very helpful in that lane. However, if that's not the pond you want to swim in, if you're like, no, I want to build a brand and I want to be like Tony Robbins and Ayanna Van Sant and Oprah and have an empire and books and speaking engagements and travel the world and do all of these things, then understand that a coaching certification is not enough. You also need to know the business side and the marketing side. And that's precisely why, after years of talking about this, I decided to just bite the bullet and work to get my program certified, because I understand that so many people are still very fixated on, I want that coaching certification. It's important to me. I want to be able to say that I have a methodology that I could follow. That's great. But most coaching certifications that you go through will not teach you the business, especially not the business as it really is in the coaching world, to truly be successful. And so I'm like, okay, fine. If no one's gonna do it, I'll do it, right? So I'm working on that right now. This will probably be done, depending on when you're watching this, Q1 of 2023. So stay tuned for that. I'm actually really excited about that, where for my program, it'll be mandatory that you also have to go through the business development side, because I don't want anybody coming through my program saying that they got a coaching certification and that they don't know how to, build a business on top of that. Like, not good, right? So that's why I decided, after years of talking about why you don't need a coaching certification, I've decided to include that as a part of my offering, because it's just that important for those of you who are going to get the coaching certification anyway, to be able to go ahead and build your business. So hopefully this has shown a light on how the coaching industry actually works, especially life coaching. As I mentioned previously, even though you're life coaching, you still need a niche within life coaching. And so if that is something that you're really struggling with, I actually invite you to take my 5-day free Nail Your Niche Challenge. It's completely free, at least for now. It's a bit of an experiment. I don't know how much longer it's going to be free, but this is such an important piece. Like, it's very difficult to build a successful business without nailing this down. So even if you're a life coach, again, you still need to find out what your niche is within life coaching, regardless of if you get a certification or not. And so you can click the link below in order to join that challenge and to nail your niche and get everything you need to know in order to have confidence about the niche that you will be coaching in as a life coach, regardless of which track, corporate or consumer, certified or non-certified, ultimately that you want to take. So hopefully this illuminates to you why most life coaches don't make money. It's because they don't understand how this works. They have not decided which track they want to be in. They have not built a brand. They have not built a business. Like, they want to go down the consumer track and then they don't have any of the infrastructure in place in order to truly attract clients. Or they say they want to go down the corporate track, but then they don't have the infrastructure in place necessary to be attractive to corporations. So you got to know before you get the certification or before you truly pursue life coaching, which track you want to be on, and prioritize, in addition to the coaching methodology and making sure that you're a good coach, you also want to prioritize the business development side and making sure that you are building the infrastructure for which either track that you want to go down. Most coaches, no one tells them this, right? No one at these certification programs are telling them this. It's all just like, oh, get a certification, your life is gonna change. And that makes me angry, because I understand that people are spending their life savings on these very expensive certifications, and they're not getting the knowledge that they need, or even the roadmap that they need to truly build a successful coaching business. So have no fear. We'll be working that out pretty soon. My certification program is coming Q1 of 2023. But with that, I hope this video was super helpful for you. Again, join my Nail Your Niche Challenge. It's completely free if you still need help nailing down your niche as a life coach. But if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you can't wait for my next video, make sure you are following me on my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show. And if you can't wait for my next podcast episode or my next video, make sure that you are following me on Instagram. It's CourtneyLSanders on Instagram. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.